ballerina.
Sometimes all it takes to be a dad is remembering how to be a kid again. Take time to be a dad today.
In Fairfield County, something new comes across my desk every day. Crimes are committed, cases are solved, and a community is made safe by the hardworking employees of the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office. Welcome to This Week with Sheriff Dave Phelan, a weekly program here on LSN Television. We're also carried by a number of radio affiliates throughout Fairfield County. Do appreciate you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. We've got a great program ahead. We're going to have Sergeant Jared Collins with our scrap team, part of the Major Crimes Unit. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the students here at Fairfield Christian Academy that actually put the program together. Our executive producer, Kelly Roberts, behind the scene, lining the guests up, getting the questions together, does a great job. And I'm very appreciative, certainly, of you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. Sergeant Collins, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
And before airtime, we talked about was January. Was the last time you were here.
That's right. That's right.
So a number of months have passed, and kind of before we find out a little bit what's going on with the drugs and those kind of things in our community, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 23 years now. Worked several different divisions within the Sheriff's Office. I started out working undercover narcotics for about a year.
Okay.
Worked a lot of high schools, worked the Fairfield Beach area, had about a 6-month operation that was pretty intense up there. Like a lot of new deputies, I moved from narcotics to the jail and worked the jail for about a year, transferred to the street and became a K-9 unit. Was a K-9 officer for 13 years. It was a great experience. Was affiliated or attached to our SWAT unit for about 20 years, and I'm still there.
Wow, just about your entire career.
Almost, yeah. I really, there are a couple of us that are on the team that have been there that long. I know Lieutenant Lape and Sergeant Burke, we've kind of all been there forever. So,
have things shifted as far as the training and maybe even some of your responsibilities in SWAT in 20 years? From when you started to today, is it pretty much the same, or have you changed a lot of your training?
Night and day.
Really?
It's absolutely night and day. That's the one thing with SWAT tactics that they're constantly evolving. Constantly evolving. You would think there would be only one way to search a building or, clear an area, but it's amazing the tactics and the techniques and the science involved in it. Over the last 10 years especially, we have undergone an absolute shift of how we do things. It's all about, it's not hitting the door and running through the house as fast as we can anymore. It's not. We always tell the younger guys, don't be in a hurry to get shot. It's slow, it's methodical, it's using angles, it's stuff that we're getting from overseas. We all have contacts with, guys coming back from Iraq or Afghanistan. We've got good contacts with Special Forces guys and SEALs that are bringing their tactics back to us, which is kind of a neat free flow. When those wars started, they were calling New York SWAT and LAPD SWAT to come in and update military training.
Okay.
So now, since they're the ones overdoing it, they're coming back and they're sharing with law enforcement. It's really, really kind of a neat process to be part of.
And when we talk about the SWAT team, what are some of the areas of responsibility, and what makes our agency a little bit different than some of the bigger metropolitan agencies is our SWAT team is comprised of the deputies that may be in the neighborhoods, the detectives. It's not a special unit that's set aside just to wait to respond. You guys have to be called out and get together and go in, right?
Right. we're comprised with our deputies, some Pickerington PD officers, a New Lex officer, and Violet Township fire medics. We train roughly 12 hours a month. Our primary functions are warrants, high-risk warrant service, only high-risk warrant service, barricaded individuals, and hostage calls. That being said, we do a lot of wooded area suspect searches. That's big for us down here since half of our county is rural. We do a lot of meth lab entries. We do search and rescue. Generally about anything that a team concept's needed. As you know, you can throw about anything at us and we can do a custom fit and make it work. We do all the VIP protection stuff, which rolling into election year is going to be huge. We figure we see generally 3 to 4 major visits to Fairfield County a year. We'll be running every single one of them.
Yeah, I remember during the
Secret
last
Service.
election, Clinton was here, the President Romney was here, Vice President was here, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
Biden?
Biden was here, and we handled all those.
Wow.
Usually in conjunction. If it's something in the city, we work with Lancaster PD's SRT team on those situations, but it's always a joint effort.
So some things you may be able to talk about. What are some things that has to be done to prepare for a VIP, a presidential visit, a candidate's running for president?
Well, it's very intensive. I mean, even a short visit, there's so many moving parts. We work generally right off the bat with Secret Service. And it's usually several weeks in advance. We have the advance meetings. We go around with their agents on their advanced site surveys, help them with the site surveys and any information they need. We help them with the investigative background areas because they always, when they move into an area, people of concern that may be a threat to their principal. Mm-hmm. So we work with them on all that, and when it comes to actual event time, we assist with the motorcade in or the flight in, and then we cover generally close security and perimeter security. So we kind of are on the ground for all aspects of it, and we breathe a lot of a sigh of relief when it's over.
You know, today, like none other, with the threat of terrorism, with some of the sovereign groups out there, it is pretty remarkable that the local law enforcement and the Secret Service does as well as they do as far as protecting the president, protecting diplomats and these kind of people. In a world we live today, these folks would have to be big targets for these individuals all the time.
And you know, on a local level, we carry the load. We really do. You've been involved in probably far more than I have with these type of visits, but you know, we carry the load. We have the manpower.
Yeah, they're very dependent on local agencies.
Absolutely.
And an ability to kind of work through those.
Right, right.
We talk about the SCRAP team, which is an acronym for Street Crime Reduction and Apprehension Program, and you are part of the Major Crimes Unit. You're combined, right?
Yes, sir.
So what are the differences between what the SCRAP team does and what the Major Crimes Unit does, and who are the individuals that take part in both of those groups?
Okay. The SCRAP side of Major Crimes Unit are generally, we conduct street crime level investigations or short-term investigations, generally 1 to 3 days. Anything above that, it goes to the narcotics side.
Okay.
The narcotics side does the prolonged investigations, the undercover operations, things like that. Generally, the SCRAP guys will be in a uniform in a marked car. The undercover guys are the ones with the ponytails and the beards and, you know, wear pajamas to work and things like that. We make fun of them, but it's it's all, you know, a great system where both sides work together and work very closely to get the job done. We're represented right now by 3 counties, Fairfield, Hocking, and Athens. Within those counties, Lancaster Police Department, Pickerington Police Department, Logan Police Department, Nelsonville Police Department, Ohio University Police Department, and Athens Police Department. So there are representatives from all of those agencies that work in part of the task force.
And why is it important to have these multi-agencies coming together?
You know, for us, by having Athens, Fairfield, and Hocking, that is the drug pipeline. From Columbus to Athens is, the Route 33 corridor is a major drug trafficking pipeline. So since we have all three counties linked up, we share resources, we share intel. It's a great working environment. We know what's going on at the river. They know what's going on in the suburbs of Columbus. So it's really a good working relationship right now.
And one of the things I think that may be of interest to our viewers and listeners, one thing that seems to, at least in the last couple of years, we've kind of seen heroin and the opiates were always on the front burner here in our county and beyond for such a long period of time. A little bit different because my son's with the Columbus Police Department. He says, cocaine and crack cocaine they're seeing a lot of that. But you've seen a shift as far as what we've seen as far as the meth. Right. Because last year it was just like, man, we were doing meth labs all the time.
We did over 100 meth labs just in Fairfield County last year. We've seen a shift, and we still have a major opiate problem. I mean, we're still seeing heroin. The difference is, though, the meth, they can produce it here, by evidence of the number of labs we've had. They have to run kind of a gauntlet of us bringing the heroin down from South Columbus.
Okay.
And, we take off a lot of loads every week of heroin, moving down the highway. So they take a substantial risk where, the meth they make here.
And this one pot method has really changed things, hasn't it?
It is. With household chemicals and 20 minutes you can make a batch of meth.
And this is typically in a pop or a container, a 2-liter pop bottle?
Generally, yeah, or Gatorade bottles, stuff like that.
And we got about a minute and a half left. Before we go up there, tell our viewers and listeners a little bit what that would look like in case they'd find some. I know occasionally they'll find some along the road or something like that.
Anytime you see a Gatorade bottle or a plastic pop bottle that has a white or off-colored sludge in it, you don't want to touch it. Call law enforcement. Anytime you see bottles with any hoses sticking out of the top, don't touch them. Call law enforcement. The stuff is extremely volatile, explosive, flammable, and emits noxious gases. Extremely dangerous stuff.
So they find it in the yard, find it out in a park, in a field. Let us know, right? Don't touch it.
Absolutely. Call 911 right off the bat, and we'll get somebody out there immediately.
Sergeant Jared Collins, our guest today. We're going to have you back next week to talk a little bit about training. I know that's going to be a big part of some of the things we're going to be doing with the Sheriff's Office and across the state of Ohio next year. So we're going to talk about the training and what great information you provided this week. I do appreciate, again, the students here at Fairfield Christian Academy, our executive producer, Kelly Roberts, behind the scene, does a good job as far as lining the guests up and those kind of things. And certainly to you, the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. Well, the clock on the wall says we're just about out of time. Until next week, same time, same place. God bless, and we'll see you right here.
In 1929 in Chicago, a gentleman by the name of Marion Wade, a former minor league baseball player, started the company. It was just a moth-proofing company then. In 1952, it expanded to carpet cleaning and pioneered what is now called outsourcing. And the Sidwells wanted a community that had a lot of churches, had a lot of soccer opportunities where kids love soccer, and a good Parks and Rec department, so they chose Lancaster. And so in 1980, they moved the franchise here in Lancaster to 6th Avenue. But then in 2002, Todd George, current owner, purchased the franchise from them. And in 2004, he bought a building that's on Mulberry Street, and that's where the franchise is located currently. I'm Jay Johnson, General Manager of Service Master Clean by Todd George, where we guarantee if it's not done right the first time, we'll do it again.
Service Master Clean by Todd George, 740-687-1077, 740-687-1077.